When the world feels unsafe, social anxiety support for transgender and non-binary people. Hi everyone, I'm Joel. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this video, you're probably here because you're experiencing some kind of anxiety or challenges in social situations. In this video, I'm going to present a couple of coping strategies to help you get through those moments, as well as try to help explain a little bit about what the anxiety is, why it's affecting you in social anxieties, and how it relates to your identity, whether you are transgender, gender fluid, or non-binary, or some other form of gender identity minority. Let's go ahead and get started. So first off, what is anxiety? Well, it is commonly referred to or thought of as a generalized feeling of distress or uneasiness. Anxiety comes in a lot of different forms and appears in the body and in the mind in a lot of different ways. Some very common ones are a feeling of a tightness in your chest that in reality can be mistaken by a lot of people as extreme heartburn and even early symptoms of a heart attack. I myself have gone to a hospital feeling as though I was in the midst of a heart attack when in fact I was in a panic moment, a moment of high intense anxiety. And this is actually not uncommon. Other common symptoms include sweating, shaking or trembling hands, a sense of feeling dizzy, perhaps digestive, bowel problems, restlessness, headache, and heart palpitations or racing heart. That's very much like what I was experiencing in combination with the tightness in the chest and the shaking. Those are the symptoms that tend to get to me. So how common is anxiety? Well, honestly, it's one of the most common forms of distress that people will feel in their lifetime. As many as 1 out of every 3 person in the world, at least in the United States, according to my own research, will experience some kind of anxiety disorder in their lifetime. Women are twice as likely as men to suffer from anxiety-related problems, and it is just as common within children and adolescents. And when anxiety becomes what we call chronic, meaning you have it frequently, daily or reoccurring episodes of it every couple days, then it may be a sign that you may have an anxiety disorder. The good thing is these are very treatable, very, very treatable. So please do not worry. Now, anxiety is a normal body response to stress or fear. Even if there is nothing around you, your brain consciously can be saying, hey, I'm good, I'm safe, bro, everything's okay. And at the same time, your nervous system, your body has somehow detected what it thinks is a threat and triggers a sense of anxiety. A small amount is very normal in life and not a problem. But when it becomes persistent and overwhelming, then that intense anxiety can trigger a panic attack, which can lead to more stress, more worries, right? When your body starts to really react the ways I described, for example, and you think you're having a heart attack, it just feeds back on itself, creating a stronger sense of stress. So what is social anxiety? Well, social anxiety is essentially anxiety that is brought to us or that we feel because of some kind of interaction in daily social activities. And this can trigger all kinds of feelings within us, a sense of embarrassment, a feeling of shame. It can cause us to want to withdraw, back off, and pull away from society, friends, families, relationships. It can become chronic, again, which means it happens over and over, impacting our daily lives. But again, it is treatable. Just like anxiety, social anxiety can trigger these feelings within us, whether the problem is a real problem or one that is only being imagined by our consciousness, our subconsciousness, or our bodies. So here are 2 quick examples where one is a real situation where a woman in a red dress is actually being pointed out and identified as being different from a social group. But the one down below over here is an imagined one where the same woman is thinking they don't like me because I'm different, and yet the social group opposite her is actually thinking, wow, I really love that dress. It's so bright. I want that one. Or what should I have for dinner? Either way, whether the threat that your anxiety is responding to is real or whether it is imagined, it has the same impact on your body, and the way you're feeling is valid and should be considered, not dismissed. Social anxiety comes in all kinds of different ways, from meeting people and speaking in public to asking for help and even going to see the doctor. So, what makes it worse or particularly loud and powerful for people of gender diverse identities? Well, for one thing, frequent social anxiety is often found in people who are also depressed, have OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, or ADHD, hyperactive disorders, attention deficit, hyperactive disorders, who may also feel uncomfortable in their bodies or who have body image challenges, which many transgender people do. They have gender dysphoria, which means that they feel that their body does not align with their internal sense of person and gender. So if you are experiencing one or more of these symptoms, it is very likely going to exacerbate or increase the severity of the anxiety you're feeling, because just like weights, they stack up and become heavier and become harder to hold. The thing to keep in mind is that you are not alone, and it is very much okay to ask for help, which again is probably why you're here watching this video. Transgender, non-binary, gender non-conforming people are as much as 78% self-identifying as having ongoing persistent social anxiety. And this comes from a lot of the reasons we already described. In particular, we are living in a moment where politics are aiming to limit exposure to life-saving treatment, such as gender-affirming healthcare. They are trying to limit access to public spaces like bathrooms. And while I'm not trying to take a political position on it, the reality is these aims to restrict access to services and places create substantial anxiety, social anxiety, for people with these gender diverse identities. The truth is, though, your identity is not the problem. Gender identity diversity is a natural component of human nature. Whether you are biologically male or biologically female does not necessarily determine your gender identity, the perception of how you wish to be seen, treated, heard, and identified. Your gender expression is your right and your freedom to identify how you see fit. There is a tendency within social circles, though, to try to create a sense of expectation that we all live within a certain boundary. The cool thing about that is there is no such thing as normal. Right below me is a book that I highly recommend for anybody questioning what is normal. The title, The Myth of Normal, is one of the most awesome books I've ever read and helped me feel a lot more comfortable about my identity and my own acceptance of not being normal. So, why do you feel this way? Well, again, anxiety is often not the problem. The real trick with anxiety is learning to recognize that that is your body trying to tell you something about the environment around you, whether it is people or physical things or some kind of a threat that your nervous system has picked up on. The trick is to acknowledge that and learn how to listen to it, but not let it take over in the moment. And the problem is, again, not the anxiety you feel, but often it is the invalidating environment or the unsafe environments around you that are triggering the anxiety. So next, I want to talk about 4 coping strategies on how to handle anxiety in the moment. In full disclosure, these are not cures by any measure to anxiety. And I am not here as a professional to try to help you solve your problems with anxiety, but rather to give you 4 simple solutions that have worked for me in my own daily life to help cope with stress and anxiety when I feel those moments arising. Now, there's a fairly long list over here you can see. There are many, many, many more ways to treat and cope with anxiety, but I'm just going to talk about these first 4. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is one of my favorites. When I feel a panic attack or a strong sense of anxiety in the moment, one of the things I do is immediately I jump into this process where I look around me and try to identify 5 things I can see. Maybe it's my Pride Legos behind me. Maybe it's my bracelets. Then I try to think about 4 things I can touch, and if possible, I try to touch it and I try to think about the sensations, whether it's my own hands, the clothing I'm wearing, the chair I'm sitting on, or something else. Next, I look for 3 things that I can hear, 2 things I can smell, and 1 thing I can taste, which kind of sounds gross if, you're thinking about, I can still taste that burger from yesterday. Yee, yucky. There's a link, rather not a link, but there's a little video here that explains this process and goes into a little more depth there. Check it out if you can. The next one is acknowledging it as a person. Now, this is a process that some counselors will call externalizing. It's where you take your emotion or your behavior and you give it a name and you treat it as though it's not you, but a part of you, or even not part of you. It just depends on some of the orientations and practice methods. But I personally love to think of anxiety like the movie Inside Out, as a person, a little person in my head, and I actually talk to it sometimes. And this is an example. When I feel the anxiety taking over, I may take a deep breath and close my eyes and even say to myself, I will say, hello, anxiety. Thank you for your help. I know you care about me and I care about you. You have done a good job and tried to protect me, but I am okay. I do not need your help right now. Please go away because I am safe. I may say this in 100 different iterations, but that's the idea. And I even apply this to other moods sometimes. When I feel anger rising and I'm really frustrated, I may stop and say, hello, anger. I know you are looking out for me and helping me respond to something, but I am okay right now. I know you want to protect me, and I am thankful for your help. But right now, you are free to leave because I am safe. Even saying these right now makes me feel a little teary because I know that they have been very positive and helpful in my life. A third one is what's called bilateral stimulation. And this one just sounds all geeky. I love big words sometimes, but basically think of your brain, try to crisscross actions. A very common bilateral stimulation technique is to cross your hands on both sides of your chest and just pat back and forth. And you might combine this with a breathing technique or a very simple mantra, or the last one, for example, hello, anxiety. Thank you for looking out for me. Thank you for trying to help me, but I am okay right now. Right? One that I also like to do is I will do while walking is I will reach out with my hands, camera's kind of in the way, and I will with one hand try to draw a circle and with the other hand just move it up and down. And it's actually kind of hard. It's really tricky. You might flip it, do the other way hand. What's really cool about it is because it's hard, it actually activates other parts of your brain that take over and become more dominant than that anxiety, the part that creates the anxiety. And so your body starts to listen more to the struggle that you're going through with this bilateral process instead of the anxiety that's coming from somewhere else. So it's pretty fun. And the last one is a breathing exercise. Again, check out the video down here. I've got to learn which way to point. This is a really, really good one from Ask Dr. Joe. However, if you just go to YouTube or just do a quick Google or AI search for breathing strategies, there are more out there than you can count. A very, very simple one that I like is a very slow, deep inhale. I try to inhale for 4 slow seconds. I will breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. I will hold that breath for 3 or 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I exhale for at least 5 or 6. The goal is to exhale longer than I inhaled. I cannot tell you the full science behind it. I honestly do not know, but I do know that the slow, deep breaths dramatically enhances a person's sense of calmness and can help reduce pain. Finally, when should you get help? Well, when anxiety overwhelms us, if you can imagine this little blue circle right over here, left hand me, if you can imagine you are in that circle and all those icons around you represent your life, whether it's school and shopping, games, entertainment, social encounters, sports, whatever. When anxiety becomes a situation or a common occurrence that begins to restrict or limit your life activities and stops you from engaging in the things that you otherwise would have, then that is definitely time to seek out some assistance. And remember, as hard as it may feel to do that, you are not alone. You are not alone, and the anxiety can be treated. It may not be curable, but you can learn strategies to live with it and to return to a more broader, fuller, healthier lifestyle. Again, I am not a doctor. I am not a licensed professional counselor yet. So take this as advice from one person to another. If you need help, there are many ways to receive help. You can, of course, talk to a psychiatrist or your doctor, family doctor, to pursue various kinds of medications. Medications can be immensely and life-savingly helpful for many people, so I would never rule it out. Talk to a doctor or psychiatrist. Therapy and counseling is definitely my recommendation for a go-to. There are so many different ways to treat anxiety, social anxiety, depression, and a whole range of disorders, and they really can work for the vast majority of people. If you are in crisis or need help in an emergency, or if you are struggling and feel as though you are going to harm yourself, reach out for immediate help. There are many ways to do that. Here are a few. Feel free to screenshot this picture. It was created, full disclosure, with some research I compiled and the use of AI. I have verified the numbers that all are accurate as of the time of this filming. However, life changes, websites come and go, but these services, they are there 24 hours a day for crisis support. If you know somebody in need, feel free to share this graphic as well. Otherwise, these are my references for anybody who's interested to learn more about some of which I discussed in this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you are doing well. I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.